So picture this. One night, a single man chose to ignore a computer. And because he did that, you and I are almost certainly alive today. Now that might sound like the plot of a sci-fi movie, but it's a real story. And it's a story about a level of intelligence that, frankly, 99% of people never reach. Understanding it could completely change how you see yourself and maybe even the world around you.
All right, let's set the scene. The date is September 26, 1983. We're in a top-secret Soviet nuclear command center. It's just past midnight, when out of nowhere, alarms start blaring. Every single screen flashes bright red, displaying a terrifyingly simple message. Launch detected. An American nuclear missile is on its way, screaming towards Soviet territory.
The man on duty that night is Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. Now, his job isn't really to think, it's to follow the system's orders. And just moments later, that system confirms not just one, but 5 incoming American missiles. The protocol? It's crystal clear. Report the attack immediately and launch a full-scale counterstrike. We're talking minutes away from hundreds of Soviet nukes heading for America. World War III was about to begin.
But right there, in that critical moment, Petrov did something the computer was never, ever programmed to do. He paused. He actually stepped outside of his own fear, outside the system's rigid logic, and he asked a deeply human question. He thought, if America was really starting a nuclear war, a real first strike, would they seriously only send 5 missiles? No way. It would be hundreds. So Petrov made an impossible call. He ignored the computer and reported a false alarm. And hours later, it was confirmed. The satellite had mistaken the sun's reflection off of some clouds for missiles.
That night, the world was saved because one man didn't just blindly trust the system. He saw its limits, he questioned its conclusion, and he made his own decision. That right there, that's a perfect example of what's called metacognitive intelligence. It's this ability to step back and rationally look at a system, whether that system is a computer, a set of rules, or, and this is the important part, the most powerful system of all, your own mind.
And this is exactly where Petrov's story becomes so relevant to our own lives. Because, the biggest system influencing all of us isn't some military computer, it's our own brain. And our biggest weakness is something you could call system blindness.
We all like to think we're in control, making conscious decisions all day long. But the reality is, our lives are mostly run by these invisible, automated systems. We think we're the ones driving, but a lot of the time, we're just passengers, being taken for a ride by mental loops we can't even see. I mean, think about it. You grab your phone thinking you decided to scroll, but an algorithm has already mapped out the probability of your very next swipe. And these systems show up as these internal loops. You've probably felt them. Like there's the ego loop. Someone gives you some constructive feedback, and your first instinct is to get defensive instead of seeing it as a chance to get better. Or what about the fear loop? You know you need to do that risky but important thing, but you avoid it, and your world just gets a little bit smaller. And of course, the big one, the habit loop. You pick up your phone for just 5 minutes, and boom, an hour's gone.
And listen, this isn't some small, trivial thing. Research from Duke University actually found that nearly 45% of our daily behavior is driven by these automated habits. That is almost half of your life running on autopilot, powered by loops that you didn't even consciously design. So why? Why does our brain do this? Why does it create these loops in the first place? Well, to answer that, we have to grapple with a pretty fundamental and honestly kind of unsettling truth about how our brains work. Here it is. Your brain is not a camera that records reality. It's a simulator that creates it. Okay, think about the hollow face mask illusion. You know logically that the inside of a mask is concave, it curves inward. But when you look at it, your brain almost always shows you a normal face, one that's projecting outwards. Why does it do that? Because your brain has a powerful model built on a lifetime of seeing faces that stick out. It actually trusts its internal model more than the raw data coming from your eyes. This whole process has a name. It's called predictive processing. Your brain doesn't just passively wait for information to come in. No, it's constantly, actively predicting what's going to happen next, a lot like how an AI model predicts the next word in a sentence. It then uses your senses, your eyes, your ears, not to see reality for the first time, but to check if its predictions were right. But here is the dangerous twist. The brain's #1 goal isn't to see the truth. Its goal is to reduce prediction errors. So, when reality doesn't quite match up with its prediction, it often won't update its model.
Instead, it will literally distort your perception of reality to make the prediction seem correct. You can think of it like an AI hallucination, but it's happening inside your own head.
And the power of these predictions is just staggering. The placebo effect is the ultimate proof. Your brain predicts that a simple sugar pill is going to make you feel better, and that prediction alone can trigger real, measurable chemical changes in your body. It can reduce pain, lower blood pressure, even ease symptoms of depression. Your brain's prediction literally becomes your physical reality.
Okay, so we've got all these loops running. The ego, the fear, the habits, and they're all operating on a predictive brain that's simulating reality. So what's the master program controlling all of it? What's the central operating system that's running this entire simulation? It's your identity. And I don't mean that in some vague philosophical way. I mean biologically. Your identity is the brain's master predictive model. It's basically an operating system that's designed for one thing: stability and energy efficiency. It decides which thoughts, which beliefs, and which behaviors are you and which are not you, and it regulates everything to keep the system predictable and stable. But here's where the trap is. This operating system can completely override pure logic. There was this fascinating experiment with law students, people with super high analytical skills. They were given some data about a skin cream and asked if it worked. The math experts in the group interpreted the data perfectly. But then, the researchers gave them the exact same numbers, but this time they framed the topic as being about gun control. And suddenly, the math experts started getting it wrong. Their political identity was threatened, and their brains used their high IQ not to find the truth, but to defend their pre-existing identity. This is why changing who you are is so incredibly hard. It's not a motivation problem, it is a structural one. When you try to change a core belief, you're not just changing your mind. You are literally attempting to rewire an entire neural system. And your brain registers this as a massive, high-energy threat to its stability, so it will fight you every single step of the way. So, if our brains are basically designed to trap us in these identity loops, how do we ever get out? Well, this brings us to the highest level of intelligence. And it turns out it's not about what you know, it's about how well you can adapt. True intelligence, when you look at it scientifically, is all about adaptation. The most successful organisms have never been the strongest. They've been the most adaptable. The exact same thing is true for us. This fifth level of intelligence is adaptive intelligence. It's the ability to break free from that identity trap and start forging a more fluid, flexible identity that can evolve to meet any goal you set. So how do we build it? We do it by installing a new feedback loop. Step 1 is mindset. Start treating your core beliefs like they're testable hypotheses, not unchangeable facts. The belief, "I'm bad at public speaking," isn't a life sentence. It's a hypothesis you can go out and test. Step 2 is environment. Identity is contagious, so start engineering your social world. Surround yourself with people who already embody the identity you want to adopt. And step 3 is behavior. Your brain figures out who you are by watching what you do. So you have to act first. The brain will then infer its identity from your actions. And this is the crucial takeaway. Your identity isn't some fixed thing you have to go discover deep inside you. It's something you build. It's an active feedback loop running between your mindset, your environment, and your actions. And the best part? You have the power to consciously redesign that loop. And here's a really practical way you can start doing this, like tonight. Keep an identity journal. Step 1, write down the identity you want to build. Be really specific. Step 2, every single day, write down one piece of evidence, one small action you took that lines up with that identity. And then step 3, at the end of the week, do a quick gap analysis. Where did your actions not align? And what can you tweak in your mindset or your environment to close that gap for next week? Because let's be honest, in a world that is changing faster than ever, intelligence isn't about having a fixed set of knowledge anymore. Reality is constantly giving us a test, and that test is adaptation. The most intelligent person isn't the one with the highest IQ, but the one who can recognize when their internal model is wrong and update their identity the fastest. So, that leaves one final question for you to think about. Looking at all the loops and systems that are running your own life, which part of your identity, which outdated belief that you hold about yourself, will you choose to update first?